The storm clouds over the border ridge broke apart as a narrow beam of sunlight touched the valley floor. A lone human soldier moved across the battered land with steady steps. His gear was torn from battle, his armor marked by dust and char, and his breaths came slow but controlled. The man's name was Daniel, known for resolve that never bent. Even when the war between Earth and the distant realm of Lemuria reached its darkest stage, at his side walked a young alien girl, thin and exhausted. Her pale scales shimmered faintly under the recovering light, but fear clouded her eyes. She kept close to Daniel, as if he were a shield against all things that had hunted her across the ruins of the conflict. Her name was Lyra, princess of the Lemurian throne. She had been separated from her people during the last great collision of fleets. Daniel had found her trapped in the wreckage of a downed skimmer and had taken her into his protection without hesitation. Ahead of them stood the entrance to a long fractured canyon, a place once marked by peace gatherings before the war. Now, half burned, its pillars carried scars, as if the land itself remembered every blast. Daniel supported Lyra as she stumbled forward, guiding her with gentle assurance. "Just a little more," he said in a calm tone. "Your people are near this place. My signal from last night should have reached them." Lyra nodded, though her legs trembled. Her voice was thin as she spoke. "Thank you, Daniel. I thought I would never see my mother again." "You will," Daniel replied. For days he had carried her through ravines and across broken fields, evading patrols from factions that still refused to surrender. Every step during that journey had strengthened Lyra's trust. He had risked his life for her, a child of a kingdom that had once been Earth's enemy. Yet Daniel had never cared for politics. A child in danger was enough reason to act. The canyon widened as they reached the inner circle of stone. Faint blue flames rose from carved torches placed in a pattern. Daniel recognized them as a sign of high Lemurian rank. He tightened his hold on his gear and scanned the surroundings. Then the ground trembled with a low hum, followed by the appearance of elegant armored figures. Emerging from a hidden passage at their center walked the alien queen of Lemuria. Her tall form carried grace even in weariness. Her silver mantle swayed. Behind her, the crest upon her crown glowed with faint royal energy. Her eyes, a deep shade of teal, widened the instant she saw the small figure leaning against Daniel's side. Her steps became a rapid stride. Lyra. That single word came from her with the weight of a mother's breaking heart. Lyra froze for a moment, stunned by the sight she had prayed to see again. Her voice cracked as she tried to speak. "Mom." The queen broke into a run. Protocol, dignity, rank, none of it mattered in that moment. Her armored guards followed, though even they slowed as they saw raw emotion blaze across her expression. She reached Lyra and swept her into her arms with trembling relief. The queen held the girl close, her breathing uneven. "My daughter," she whispered, "you are alive." Tears slid down her face as Lyra clung to her. The girl buried her face into her mother's chest and cried softly while the queen stroked her back with cautious, loving motions, as if afraid Lyra would disappear again. Daniel stood still, watching them. His expression composed, though the moment touched him deeply. He had seen many reunions in the aftermath of battle, but few carried the weight of worlds the way this one did. When the queen finally looked up, her eyes met Daniel's. Her guard moved instinctively, forming a barrier between human and monarch. Spearheads hummed with energy. Daniel did not flinch. "Stand down," the queen ordered. The guards obeyed. A silence fell across the canyon. The queen approached Daniel with Lyra still held close. Her voice was steady, but emotion lingered beneath every word. "You brought her back to me. Tell me your name, human soldier." "Daniel." he answered. The queen studied him for a long moment. You entered the wreckage of our skimmer while a battle raged overhead, she said. You carried my daughter through lands torn apart by war. Why would you do this when our armies fought against your world? Daniel's reply came without hesitation. She is a child. War or not, leaving her behind was never an option. The queen closed her eyes briefly, absorbing his words. Lyra looked up at Daniel with gratitude that needed no translation. He protected me, Lyra said. He shielded me from drones and fire. He carried me when I could not walk. The queen's gaze softened. Daniel shifted slightly, as if embarrassed by the praise. I only did what any decent person would have done. A quiet wind moved through the canyon. For the first time in many years, the Queen of Lemuria smiled. A human. Not every person would risk their life for the daughter of an enemy leader, she said. Your actions speak for your people in a way no treaty ever could. Daniel said nothing. He did not seek recognition. He only wanted to ensure Lyra was safe. The queen placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder. Come, you need rest and care. Lyra nodded, but she looked at Daniel with concern. Will he come with us? She asked. I do not want him to leave yet. Daniel started to speak, but the queen raised a hand gently. You wish for him to accompany us? She asked her daughter. Lyra nodded again. The queen considered this. The war had ended only weeks before, though resentment still festered across both civilizations. Bringing a human soldier into the heart of the Lemurian refuge could invite unrest. But Daniel had saved her only child. A debt like that shaped the course of history. He may join us, the queen said. Daniel blinked with mild surprise. If it helps her feel safe, the queen added. So Daniel walked beside them deeper into the canyon. Surrounded by guards who observed him with a mixture of suspicion and respect, they entered a grand chamber, built into the rock wall. Inside, soft lights illuminated curved walls etched with symbols. Here the queen guided Lyra to a healing basin. Lemurian healers approached, their hands glowing with gentle energy. Lyra reached for Daniel's hand before entering the basin. Will you stay near? She asked. I will, he said. The queen watched the small scene, her expression worn. As Lyra settled into the water, the healers began their work. The glowing currents wrapped around her injuries, mending bruises and easing strain. Daniel stood by the corner of the chamber, allowing the healer's room while remaining visible for Lyra's comfort. The queen moved to stand beside him. You have my gratitude, Daniel, she said. Few acts of courage compare to what you have done. Daniel nodded politely. I only want peace, he said. If our worlds have any chance of moving forward, it will begin with moments like this. The queen looked toward her daughter, then back at Daniel. You are right, she said. This war took much from us. If a single human soldier can save a Lemurian heir with compassion instead of violence, then perhaps peace is not as distant as we feared. Daniel's posture remained steady as she spoke. Your daughter is strong, he said. She survived things no one her age should see. Her strength is her own, the queen replied. But her life is owed to you. Daniel did not respond. The queen noticed the modesty in his silence. Hours passed. Lyra rested peacefully as the healers completed their work. When she finally rose from the basin, she walked toward Daniel with renewed energy. Thank you, she said. I feel safe again. Daniel smiled faintly. I'm glad to hear it. The queen stepped forward. As long as you wish, Daniel, you may remain in our refuge. You will be treated as a guest of the highest honor. Daniel inclined his head in gratitude. I will accept that, he said, but only until Lyra no longer needs my presence. Lyra frowned slightly. I want you to stay until we can speak without danger or fear, she said. You told me stories of Earth. I want to learn more. Daniel nodded. I can do that. Over the next days, Daniel became a familiar figure in the Lemurian refuge. He taught Lyra simple Earth games and spoke to her about Earth forests, oceans, and quiet towns. In turn, Lyra told him of Lemurian traditions, songs, and constellations. They built a bond that crossed species and history. The Queen watched these moments with a thoughtful calm. She held council meetings to discuss the reconstruction of her realm, but no decision passed without her remembering the human who had returned her daughter to her. One evening, as the sky turned a soft violet, the Queen summoned Daniel to a high balcony overlooking the valley. You have given us more than safety, she said. You have shown us humanity at its best. Daniel looked out across the horizon. If we are to rebuild, we must choose the better parts of ourselves, he said. The Queen nodded slowly. I intend to share the story of what you have done with your leaders, she said. Your courage may shape the first true alliance our worlds build. Daniel turned toward her. If that story helps prevent another war, he said, then I am glad. The Queen placed a hand over her heart in the Lemurian gesture of respect. You will always be welcome among us, she said. As the night deepened, Lyra ran toward Daniel with a bright smile. Mom said we can visit Earth someday, she said. Will you show me the oceans you spoke about? Daniel smiled. Yes, if peace holds, I will show you. Lyra clasped his hand in joy. And in that moment the Queen watched them, seeing not a human and an alien, not former enemies or divided species, but a soldier and a child connected by courage, trust, and hope. She felt tears rise again. Though this time they were not born of fear or pain. They were tears of relief, gratitude, and belief in a future stitched together by small acts of humanity. Mom, Lyra said. I'm Ba.